I need a driver tonight. I'll pay $5,000. The woman's voice cut through the rain before Nathan Reed even looked up, and for one strange second, the parking lot outside Miller's Auto Repair felt quieter than the storm itself. The neon sign above the garage buzzed weakly, throwing pale blue light across puddles that reflected the trembling sky. Nathan stood beside his old Ford F-150 with grease still on his hands and worry heavier than the toolbox resting by his boots. He had just finished another 12-hour shift. 12 hours for bills. 12 hours for rent. 12 hours trying not to think about the prescription waiting at Harper Pharmacy under his daughter Lily's name. The rain tapped softly against the truck hood. Somewhere down the street, tires hissed over wet pavement. Nathan finally turned. She stood beside a black vintage Lincoln, umbrella folded at her side, as if the weather had forgotten to touch her. Mid-30s maybe. Long camel coat. Chestnut hair, touched by rain. Calm gray eyes that looked tired in a way expensive clothes could never hide. You talking to me? Nathan asked quietly. You're the mechanic everyone pointed me to, she replied. My driver never showed up. I need someone tonight. Nathan glanced toward the clock glowing red inside the garage window. 8:47 p.m., too late for extra jobs. Too late for hope. 5,000 is a lot of money for one night, he said. Her expression didn't change. Tonight matters. The answer sat between them like a secret neither wanted to explain. Nathan looked back at his truck. Lily would be home with Mrs. Collins next door. She hated when he worked late. Every night, she left little notes on the kitchen table in purple marker. Be safe, Daddy. Don't skip dinner, Daddy. I saved you cookies, Daddy. Quiet kindness. Small miracles. The kind that kept men standing. He swallowed hard. How far are we going? Not far, the woman said softly. Just a few places. The pause after her words felt heavier than the rain. Nathan studied her again. No jewelry except a simple silver watch. No driver. No security. No impatient attitude people with money usually carried into his garage. Just exhaustion. Real exhaustion. The kind he recognized because he wore it too. What's your name? He asked. Evelyn Harper. She held out her hand. Firm grip. Steady. Nathan Reed. Their hands met for only a second, but something strange passed through the silence. Not romance. Not destiny. Recognition maybe. Two people carrying invisible weight. Thunder rolled softly somewhere beyond town. Nathan pulled his phone from his pocket and checked the photo on his lock screen. Lily grinning with missing front teeth at last year's county fair, cotton candy bigger than her head. He smiled despite himself. Okay, he said quietly. I'll drive. Evelyn exhaled like someone who had been holding her breath for miles. She opened the passenger door of the Lincoln, then paused. Thank you, she whispered. Nathan nodded and reached for the keys. He still thought he was accepting a job. He had no idea he had just stepped into the longest night of his life, or that before sunrise, the beautiful stranger beside him would make him question everything he thought success meant. The Lincoln moved quietly through the rain-washed streets of Pine Ridge like it belonged to another world. Nathan sat behind the wheel with both hands steady at 10 and 2 while soft jazz drifted from the speakers at barely a whisper. The leather seats smelled faintly of cedar and something floral he could not place. Outside, storefront lights blurred across the windshield in streaks of gold and white. Evelyn sat beside him looking out the window, silent at first. Not the cold silence of pride. The tired silence of someone carrying too much for too long. Left at the next light, she said gently. Nathan nodded. Where are we headed? She hesitated. Northview Medical Center. He glanced at her for a second. Family there. Her eyes stayed on the rain. Someone important. That was all she offered. The city slowly gave way to quieter roads lined with old maple trees already turning amber. Wind brushed leaves across the pavement like scattered memories. Nathan drove without rushing. He always drove that way. Careful. Measured. The way fathers drove when someone was waiting at home. Evelyn noticed. You have a daughter, she said softly. Nathan smiled before he could stop himself. Lily, 9 years old. Loves chocolate pancakes and thinks every stray dog deserves a second chance. A small smile touched Evelyn's face. That sounds like a good heart. She got it from her mother. Silence returned after that, but it felt different now. Warmer. Less guarded. The hospital appeared ahead beneath white lights and wet pavement shining like glass. Nathan pulled into visitor parking. Evelyn reached for the door then paused. Will you wait? She asked quietly. Of course. She disappeared into the building carrying nothing but a folded envelope and the weight in her eyes. Nathan remained inside the car. Rain tapped gently against the roof. He checked his phone. One message from Mrs. Collins. Lily ate soup. Temperature is better. She asked if you remembered the blue blanket. Nathan exhaled slowly. He had remembered. He always remembered. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Finally, Evelyn returned. Her eyes looked brighter now, but not because she was happy. More like someone who had finally kept a promise. She settled into her seat. Nathan did not ask questions. He simply started the engine. Thank you for waiting, she whispered. You did not have to. Sometimes people need time, Nathan replied. My daughter taught me that. Evelyn turned toward him for the first time since they met. Rain shimmered across the side window behind her. Most people ask what I can give them, she said softly. You keep asking about people. Nathan shrugged lightly. Money helps. But it does not hold your hand when life gets heavy. The words settled between them. Quiet. Honest. Outside, the clouds began to break and moonlight slipped through like grace arriving late, but still arriving. Evelyn looked down at her silver watch. One more stop, she said. A place I have not visited in years. Nathan put the car in drive. He still believed this was a job. He still believed the night had a destination. He did not know they were already driving toward a memory Evelyn Harper had spent years trying to outrun. The road narrowed as they left the city behind. Streetlights grew farther apart until only the headlights cut through the darkness ahead. Wet pavement reflected silver under the rising moon, and fields stretched quietly on both sides of the highway, their autumn grass bending beneath the wind. Nathan drove another 12 miles before Evelyn finally spoke. Take the next right. He turned onto a smaller county road lined with old oak trees. Their branches leaned over the asphalt like guardians from another time. A weathered wooden sign appeared ahead. Willow Creek Bridge. Nathan slowed the car. Beyond the bridge sat a small overlook facing the river below. Empty benches. Rusted railings. Quiet water moving under pale moonlight. Evelyn stepped out first. The cold air carried the scent of wet leaves and distant pine. Nathan stayed by the car for a moment before following her. She stood near the railing with both hands in her coat pockets. I used to come here, she said softly. Long before boardrooms. Long before cameras. Long before people knew my name. Nathan did not answer immediately. The river below moved with patient silence. You grew up around here? He asked. She nodded once. My father brought me every Sunday after church. We would sit on that bench. She pointed toward a faded wooden seat at the edge of the overlook. He always said success meant going home with a quiet heart. Her voice faltered slightly at the last word. Nathan looked toward the bench. Rain had left tiny beads of water shining across the old wood. Sounds like a wise man. Evelyn smiled sadly. He died before I built anything. The wind moved her hair across her face. She did not fix it. She simply watched the river. I spent years chasing everything he never had. Money, buildings, recognition, awards. She paused. Tonight, I realized I cannot remember the last time I sat still. Nathan leaned lightly against the railing beside her. My daughter thinks sitting still counts as work. Evelyn looked at him. Really? He laughed quietly. Every Sunday, we make pancakes. No phones. No television. She calls it family duty. The smile that reached Evelyn this time was different. Smaller. Real. You make pancakes every week? Chocolate chip when we can afford it. And when you cannot. Plain ones shaped like stars. Evelyn lowered her eyes. Something softened in her expression. Not admiration. Longing. A silence settled again, but now it felt like shared ground instead of distance. Nathan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the granola bar Mrs. Collins had packed for him that morning. He broke it in half and held one piece out. Evelyn stared at it. You are offering me your dinner? Looks that way. She accepted it with both hands. No hesitation. No pride. Just quiet gratitude. They stood there eating in silence while river water whispered below. Then Nathan's phone vibrated. One message. Lily is asking for you. Slight fever again. Nathan straightened immediately. The color left his face. Evelyn saw it before he spoke. Your daughter? She asked softly. Nathan nodded. I need to get home. He already reached for the keys when Evelyn gently stopped him. Her voice came barely above the wind. Take me with you. Nathan blinked. What? She looked toward the dark river one last time. I think tonight I need to see what real home looks like. Nathan drove faster this time, though never recklessly. The Lincoln moved through the sleeping town, while midnight settled over Pine Ridge like a soft gray blanket. Storefronts were dark now. Only the diner on Maple Street still glowed beneath its old red sign. Inside the car, silence returned, but it no longer felt unfamiliar. Evelyn sat with her hands folded in her lap, watching the passing houses as if every porch light carried a story. Nathan checked his phone again at the stoplight. No new messages. His grip tightened anyway. Fathers knew that kind of fear. The quiet kind. The kind that lived behind calm faces. She get sick often? Evelyn asked gently. Nathan nodded. Not serious anymore. When Lily was 6, she spent months in hospitals. We got through it. He paused. Barely. Evelyn turned toward him fully. And you did it alone? Mostly. He smiled faintly. Mrs. Collins next door helps. The ladies at church bring casseroles when life gets loud. Small town people notice things. The road narrowed again as they entered the older neighborhood near Cedar Lane. Modest homes. White. Fences needing paint. Wind chimes moving in the breeze. Nathan pulled into a gravel driveway beside a small weathered house, with warm light glowing through the kitchen window. The porch swing creaked softly in the night wind. A blue blanket hung over one arm. Nathan stopped the engine immediately. You do not have to come in, he said. Evelyn looked at the house. The flower pots by the steps. The tiny bicycle leaning near the porch. The paper stars taped inside the front window. I would like to, she answered quietly. They stepped onto the porch together. The air smelled of pine and rain-soaked earth. Before Nathan reached the door, it opened. Mrs. Collins stood there in her knitted cardigan with reading glasses sliding down her nose. Relief crossed her face. She has been asking every 10 minutes if headlights were yours, she said softly. Then she noticed Evelyn. Curiosity flickered, but kindness arrived first. You must be the friend. Nathan looked surprised. Evelyn did too. Mrs. Collins simply smiled and stepped aside. Inside, the house was small but warm. The scent of cinnamon tea lingered in the air. Family photos covered one wall. Nathan with a younger smile. Lily missing teeth at a pumpkin patch. One framed picture of a woman with bright eyes holding a newborn wrapped in pink blankets. Evelyn slowed when she saw it. My wife, Nathan said quietly. Emily. There was no sadness in his voice now. Only respect. Quiet dignity. From down the hallway came a sleepy voice. Daddy. Nathan turned immediately. Lily stood in oversized pajamas holding a stuffed rabbit by one ear. Her blonde hair was messy from sleep and her cheeks still carried traces of fever. The moment she saw Nathan, she smiled. You came back. Nathan knelt and opened his arms. She walked straight into them. No drama. No tears. Just home finding itself again. Over Nathan's shoulder, Lily peeked at Evelyn. Who is she? Nathan hesitated. Evelyn stepped forward slowly. My name is Evelyn. Lily studied her with the serious expression only children could manage. Then she asked the question that made the room go quiet. Are you lonely too? Evelyn froze. Mrs. Collins looked down. Nathan lifted his eyes. Lily hugged her rabbit tighter. Daddy says lonely people need extra kindness. The kitchen clock ticked softly in the silence. And for the first time that night, Evelyn Harper looked less like a woman who owned the world and more like someone hoping she might finally belong somewhere inside it. The question stayed in the room long after Lily asked it. Even the old clock above the kitchen doorway seemed to tick more softly. Evelyn lowered herself onto the edge of the couch, while Lily climbed beside her with the stuffed rabbit tucked beneath one arm. Nathan moved toward the kitchen, partly to make tea and partly to give the moment space to breathe. Mrs. Collins squeezed his shoulder on the way out. She is going to be all right, she whispered about Lily. Then with one warm smile toward Evelyn, she stepped into the night and closed the door behind her. The house grew quiet again. Real quiet. The kind built from trust instead of emptiness. Nathan filled the kettle and listened to small voices drifting from the living room. Daddy says lonely is not the same as being alone, Lily explained seriously. Evelyn looked down at her. What is the difference? Lily thought for a moment. Alone means nobody is there. Lonely means people are there, but your heart still eats dinner by itself. Nathan stopped moving. The kettle sat untouched in his hand. Evelyn blinked slowly. There was no boardroom answer for a sentence like that. No billion-dollar solution. Just truth. A few minutes later, Nathan carried 3 mugs to the table. Hot chocolate for Lily. Tea for Evelyn. Black coffee for himself. Dinner was simple. leftover vegetable soup, toast with butter, 2 apples sliced into uneven pieces. Nathan apologized automatically. It is not much. Evelyn looked at the table. The worn placemats. The tiny vase holding one yellow wildflower Lily had picked days ago. The framed photo of Emily near the window. It is beautiful, she said quietly. Nathan almost laughed. This? She nodded. People spend fortunes trying to create what you have here. Lily dipped her toast into soup. Daddy makes star pancakes too. Nathan smiled. She has mentioned that once or twice. Every Sunday, Lily corrected proudly. Even when money gets scary. Evelyn lifted her eyes. Nathan looked away first. The kitchen light cast soft gold across the room. Wind brushed gently against the windows. Somewhere outside, leaves scraped along the porch steps. Evelyn noticed a stack of drawings taped beside the refrigerator. Crayon houses, blue skies, stick figures holding hands. One picture showed 3 people beneath a giant sun. Who was the third person? Evelyn asked softly. Lily looked up from her soup. That changes. Nathan froze for half a second. Lily continued eating as if she had not just shifted the air inside the room. Evelyn stood and walked closer to the drawings. On one page, written in careful purple letters, were the words, "Dear God, if Daddy is lonely too, please send him somebody kind." She touched the edge of the paper but did not remove it. Her eyes glistened under the kitchen light. Nathan saw it and looked down into his coffee. Respect lived in silence sometimes. Grace too. Lily yawned suddenly. Nathan carried her toward the hallway. Half asleep now, she rested her head on his shoulder. Before disappearing into her room, she looked back at Evelyn. Miss Evelyn? Yes, sweetheart. You do not look lonely when you smile. The door closed softly behind them. Evelyn remained standing by the refrigerator with one hand over her heart. For the first time in years, she was inside a house that had little money, old furniture, chipped dishes, and absolutely no emptiness. And somewhere deep inside her, something long forgotten had begun to wake. Morning arrived quietly over Cedar Lane. Pale sunlight slipped through the kitchen curtains and painted soft rectangles across the worn wooden floor. Nathan woke before dawn as always. Coffee first. Lunch for Lily second. Bills later. The rhythm had become its own kind of prayer. He moved carefully through the kitchen while the old radio played low country music beside the sink. For a brief moment, he almost believed the previous night had been a dream. The bridge. The river. The woman with tired eyes. Then he noticed the silver scarf folded neatly over the back of a chair. Evelyn had left before sunrise. No. Goodbye. No explanation. Only a handwritten note beside the coffee maker. Thank you for letting me see something real. Nathan read it twice. The paper smelled faintly of cedar and rain. Lily entered a few minutes later, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Did Miss Evelyn go home? Nathan nodded. Looks like it. Lily frowned slightly. I liked her smile. Nathan smiled back, but said nothing. Outside, wind moved through the maple trees while the neighborhood slowly woke. At 8:15, Nathan drove Lily to school in the old Ford. She waved twice before running toward the front steps with her backpack bouncing behind her. Life returned to normal, or at least it tried to. By 9:05, Nathan pulled into Miller's Auto Repair. The garage doors were already open. Jackson stood outside holding his phone with an expression somewhere between shock and confusion. Nathan, he called out. Tell me you know this woman. Nathan stepped closer. The screen showed a news article. A photograph filled half the page. Camel coat. Gray eyes. Calm smile. Evelyn Harper. Beneath the picture were words that made the air feel suddenly thinner. Chief Executive Officer of Harper Mobility International missing from billion-dollar acquisition event. Nathan stared at the screen. Harper Mobility. The company whose electric trucks had been on every business channel for months. The woman from his kitchen. The woman who ate vegetable soup beside Lily. No way, Jackson whispered. This woman runs half the transportation market. Nathan said nothing. His mind replayed the hospital, the bridge, the silver watch, the loneliness behind her eyes. Just then engines echoed down the street. One vehicle, then another, then more. Black SUVs rolled slowly toward the garage and stopped outside in perfect silence. Employees from neighboring shops stepped out to look. Doors opened. Men and women in dark suits stepped onto the pavement. One older man with white hair approached Nathan directly. Mr. Reed. Nathan nodded cautiously. The man exhaled with visible relief. Thank God. He removed his glasses. My name is Arthur Bennett. I am Miss Harper's chief advisor. Nathan felt every eye in the garage settle on him. Why are you here? Arthur looked toward the street before answering. Miss Harper disappeared from a contract signing worth $3.8 billion last night. Jackson nearly dropped his wrench. Arthur continued softly. She has ignored every board member, every executive, every investor. He paused. But at 6:30 this morning, she sent one message. Nathan swallowed. What did it say? Arthur held out his phone. On the screen was a single sentence. I finally found a house where nobody needed my money. The garage fell completely silent. Nathan looked down at the words again. Somewhere across town, Lily was probably drawing stars on scrap paper. Somewhere else, a woman who owned more than he could imagine was carrying memories from his small kitchen. And for the first time since Emily passed, Nathan Reed felt something unfamiliar move quietly inside his chest. Not certainty, not hope, just the soft beginning of possibility. By afternoon, the story had already escaped Pine Ridge. Nathan did not know who had taken the photo. Maybe someone outside the garage. Maybe a passing customer. Maybe just bad timing dressed as coincidence. All he knew was that when he picked Lily up from school, two parents near the front gate looked at him longer than usual. One whispered something. Another checked a phone. Nathan pretended not to notice. Lily climbed into the truck carrying a paper sun she had made in art class. Look, Daddy, she said proudly. Miss Carter said it is the brightest one. Nathan smiled. It looks perfect. She buckled her seat belt and tilted her head. Why do people keep looking at us? The question hit harder than he expected. He glanced toward the school entrance where two teenagers were still staring at their truck. Sometimes people get curious, he answered quietly. Lily accepted that the way children accept rain. Simple, honest. But the town was changing around them. By the time they reached home, a news van sat 2 streets away. Phones buzzed inside the garage. Social media posts spread faster than truth ever could. Small town mechanic linked to missing billionaire executive. Mystery man from Cedar Lane. Secret relationship rumors. Explode online. Nathan shut his phone off. He did not turn it back on. That evening, the porch light glowed early. Wind moved through the trees while Lily colored at the kitchen table. Nathan repaired one of her broken crayons with tape. Small work. Quiet work. The kind he understood. Then came a knock. Arthur Bennett stood outside alone this time. No suits. No convoy. Just an older man carrying a paper bag from the diner downtown. Peach pie, he said awkwardly. I was told it helps difficult conversations. Nathan let him in. Lily waved politely, then returned to her drawing. Arthur lowered his voice. Miss Harper is back in the city. Nathan nodded, but said nothing. The board is furious. Investors want statements. Reporters want explanations. He paused. She refuses all of them. Nathan looked toward the window. The sky beyond the maple trees had turned deep orange. Why are you telling me this? Arthur hesitated. Because she has not smiled in years. Silence settled between them. Lily quietly placed a new drawing beside Arthur's elbow. 3 stick figures again. One taller now. Arthur noticed. So did Nathan. Miss Harper saw a copy of the article this morning. Arthur continued softly. The comments were cruel. Nathan looked down. He already knew. Gold digger mechanic. Small town actor. Single father chasing money. The internet always chose noise over dignity. Arthur sighed. She asked me one question. Nathan finally met his eyes. What question? Arthur smiled sadly. She asked if kindness always becomes expensive once people notice it. The room went still. Even Lily stopped coloring. Nathan looked toward Emily's photo near the window. He remembered hospital nights. Empty bank accounts. Strangers who brought soup anyway. Kindness had saved him more than money ever had. Tell her this, Nathan said quietly. Arthur waited. Nathan's voice remained calm. Good things do not become less true because loud people talk. Arthur nodded slowly. He stood to leave. At the door he paused. There is a gala tomorrow night in Chicago. Harper Mobility Annual Foundation Dinner. Nathan frowned. That has nothing to do with me. Arthur gave a gentle smile. I think it might. After he left, Lily climbed into Nathan's lap, holding her rabbit. Daddy. Yes, sweetheart. She rested her head against his chest. If Miss Evelyn gets lonely again, can we lend her our extra kindness? Nathan closed his eyes for a moment. Outside, the first stars appeared over Cedar Lane. Quiet. Steady. Waiting. Chicago greeted them with cold wind and silver skies. Nathan almost had not come. Even that morning, he still stood in his kitchen holding Arthur Bennett's invitation while Lily sat at the table drawing stars on a napkin. "You should go," she had said with complete certainty. "Miss Evelyn needs someone who remembers pancakes." Now he stood inside the grand ballroom of the Harper Foundation Hotel, wearing his only dark suit, the one he had kept from Emily's memorial service and barely touched since. The room shimmered beneath crystal chandeliers. Soft piano music drifted through the air. Men in tailored jackets spoke in low voices while cameras flashed near the entrance. Nathan felt out of place immediately. He belonged in garages and hardware stores. Not here. Arthur met him near the back. "Thank you for coming." Nathan adjusted his sleeves. "I'm still not sure why I am here." Arthur looked toward the stage. "You will understand soon." At the front of the ballroom sat a giant screen showing images from the foundation's work. Children, scholarships, hospitals, community centers, success displayed in polished photographs. But Nathan remembered a woman standing beside a river with tired eyes and a granola bar in her hand. That version felt more real. The lights dimmed. Conversations faded. Evelyn Harper stepped onto the stage. The room rose instantly. Applause filled every corner. She wore a simple navy dress. No diamonds. No dramatic entrance. Just quiet grace. Nathan noticed something else. She looked directly toward the back of the room before speaking. Toward him. "Good evening," Evelyn began softly. Tonight was supposed to celebrate growth. Numbers. Expansion. Achievement. Her voice remained calm. "I spent years believing success meant becoming impossible to ignore." The audience listened. Investors leaned forward. Cameras waited. "Last week, I almost signed the largest deal of my career." She paused. "Instead, I disappeared." Murmurs moved through the room. Screens behind her went dark. Evelyn continued. "People asked why." Silence answered. Then she smiled gently. "Because I met a father in a small town who drove an old truck and made star-shaped pancakes every Sunday." Nathan froze. The room became very still. He did not ask who I was. Her eyes glistened under the lights. He asked if I had family. Pause. He did not offer luxury. Another pause. He offered half a granola bar. A few soft laughs spread through the audience, then disappeared again. Evelyn looked down briefly before lifting her eyes. "I spent my life building companies." Her voice grew quieter. "But in one evening, I walked into a house with chipped dishes, hand-drawn stars, and more love than I had seen in years." The ballroom held its breath. The internet called him many things. She stood straighter now. "Let me tell you who Nathan Reed really is." Nathan lowered his head. "He is a man who carried grief with dignity." Her voice trembled slightly. "A father who chose kindness when life gave him every reason not to." Silence deepened. Even the cameras stopped clicking. "And he reminded me that wealth without warmth is only expensive loneliness." Nobody moved. Nobody whispered. Hundreds of people simply listened. Evelyn stepped away from the podium. "Tonight, I am postponing the acquisition." Gasps rippled softly. "Because success can wait." She looked toward Nathan again. "Healing cannot." The room did not applaud immediately. It just sat there in stunned stillness. The kind that only arrives when truth walks quietly into a crowded place and asks everyone to remember what matters. 3 days passed after Chicago. The headlines changed. The noise softened. New stories replaced old ones the way winter slowly covers autumn leaves. Nathan returned to Miller's Auto Repair. Oil stains. Wrenches. The familiar hum of engines. Life had always asked him to keep moving, and he had learned long ago that quiet work healed things pride never could. Lily returned to school with her paper suns and purple markers. Mrs. Collins still brought cinnamon rolls on Saturdays. Cedar Lane remained exactly the same, but something inside the little house felt different now. Not louder, just lighter. Late Friday afternoon, the first snow of the season began to fall. Tiny flakes drifted across the yard and settled on the porch swing where the blue blanket still rested. Nathan stood at the kitchen sink washing dishes while Lily pressed her hands against the window. "Snow?" she whispered like it was a miracle. Then headlights appeared at the end of the driveway. One car. No convoy. No cameras. No black SUVs. Just the old Lincoln rolling slowly beneath the maple trees. Nathan stopped moving. Lily turned so quickly her rabbit almost fell from her arms. The engine went quiet outside. A moment later, footsteps crossed the porch. Gentle. Unhurried. Nathan opened the door before the knock came. Evelyn stood there wearing a wool coat dusted with snow. No makeup meant for stages. No assistance. Only a small paper bag in one hand and nervous honesty in her eyes. I brought pancake mix, she said softly. Nathan blinked. Pancake mix. A shy smile appeared. Star-shaped seemed advanced for a first attempt. Lily ran forward before either adult could say another word. Miss Evelyn. She wrapped both arms around her waist. Evelyn closed her eyes for half a second and held her gently. No speeches. No grand music. Just warmth finding its place. Inside, the kitchen filled again with cinnamon and cocoa. Snow tapped softly against the windows. Lily sat between them, drawing new pictures at the table. Nathan opened the paper bag. Pancake mix. Maple syrup. 3 cookie cutters, shaped like stars. At the bottom lay one folded note. He opened it quietly. I am not here because I need a driver. I am here because I finally found the road home. Nathan looked up. Evelyn sat helping Lily color a sun with yellow crayons. The house light touched her face softly. She looked smaller somehow. Not weaker. Just real. Lily finished her drawing and slid it across the table. 3 figures again beneath a bright sky. This time the third one stayed. Is this the final version? Nathan asked gently. Lily nodded with complete certainty. I think so. Silence. Followed. Beautiful silence. The kind that does not ask for words because truth already arrived. Outside, snow-covered cedar lane in white. Inside, chipped dishes waited by the sink. The old clock ticked above the doorway. Emily's photograph still stood by the window watching over everything with quiet grace. Nathan reached for the coffee mugs while Evelyn measured pancake mix with careful concentration. Lily laughed when flour landed on the counter. The room filled with small sounds. Ordinary sounds. Home sounds. And somewhere beyond wealth and headlines and lonely boardrooms, 2 hearts that had spent years surviving finally sat at the same table and chose something gentler. Not perfection. Not promises. Just second chances served beside star-shaped pancakes on a snowy evening in a little house on Cedar Lane.